My guest today has a story that is so familiar to many of us. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio. He's vacationed for many years on the Suncoast with his family, and no big surprise, he moved here to retire. And no big surprise, he didn't really retire. He leveraged his graphic design and marketing skills to a couple of companies around here, and then he decided to write a book about this place that we call home. It's part fiction, part fact, and will leave you, the reader, to decide which is which. Art Blum is the author of Pelican Cove Going Home, and I've made it a policy not to promote products or places here, but I have to say I really, really enjoyed this book. It's a good read. But what we're really going to talk about today is Art's story. Art, welcome to Suncoast People.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I need to know a couple things about this book. Your pen name, J.B. Arthur, is a gender-neutral name. And your lead character in this book is a woman. You're a man. How is it writing about a character who is of the opposite gender from you?
I started writing the book in first-person narrative as myself. A lot of it is biographical, and so I struggled with what name to use for the character as well, doing it that way, whether to just seriously do Art Blum,
Right.
moving to Pelican Cove and what happened after that. But I came with several suggestions. One was doing research because of my marketing background, and the other was from one of my editors that I was working with on the book. And it seems that the genre that I wrote in, which is romance, but they have trouble at the bookstores deciding what category it goes into because they've labeled it like paranormal romance, but it's just that there happens to be some paranormal things that happen in the book.
Right.
I don't consider it a paranormal romance because to me that would be, making love with a ghost.
Right.
That doesn't seem to be the genre, but it's the genre that the powers that be, when you publish a book,
Okay.
pick categories for you. Back to the marketing part, the demographics for my categories
Right.
is middle-aged women. And it is something as far as who reads those types of books and stuff. And I tried to think about that and everything else, and I'm like, I'm trying to tell a story about several things with this book, and I think they would identify better to another woman talking about the trials and tribulations of packing up, leaving your home, changing your life.
Right.
She's a career-oriented woman who, much like me, works at Procter & Gamble. She makes the decision to move to Sarasota, but it's on her own. Not what she was used to as far as vacationing with her family. Adventures of trying to find somewhere to live in Sarasota, which, again, anyone that has moved here that section of the book is based on truth. We worked with a realtor who never understood what we were looking for.
Right.
Took us downtown to high rises.
Right.
I have a dog. I couldn't envision coming down an elevator and her crossing her legs and holding it because she was used to going out the door.
I don't think it's giving away too much saying that there's a dog in the book, and the dog is a Scottie. Was your dog a Scottie?
My dog was a Scottie.
There you go.
And I'll give her Clint for a minute. We just recently lost her.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And she was the basis for
Yeah.
the dog. Once again, the dog in the book's male.
Yeah.
I just flopped genders around with all kinds of things.
You do a lot of referencing to landmarks, products, places. Publix is mentioned. Publix should have like paid for all the product placement of naming Publix in the book, for example. But Macy's, other restaurants. But there were some landmarks that are in the book that are no longer here. You've seen a lot of change over the years here in Sarasota.
We've been coming since, it's either the late 70s or 1980, to Sarasota and to Siesta Key. We were the typical northern people that come and take over Siesta Key Beach. But ours, we're the family group that came in the summer. In the heat, where everyone says, "What are you going to Florida for?" and stuff. But the kids were out of school. I have 4 children, by the way, and so we had to wait till they were free to go.
Sure.
And we'd go to Siesta, and we would meet up with other families that we're friends with. We made the choice to move here. It's been 12 years, which I find hard to believe, and it was different just 12 years ago.
I'm
referencing 1980. 12 years ago was such a different place. I mean, so much has happened in the last few years.
Yeah.
And I could feel the city changing, and I also, having attended public things and having friends and other people that live here and stuff, was hearing, oh, they're getting rid of this. Oh, they're not going to have this. They're not doing this.
What's the inspiration behind this story?
It was just a story I wanted to tell. I'm full of stories. I've written all my life as far as like short story things, but also as far as copy for advertising.
But a novel is a whole different.
I've wanted to write.
So you've sort of been percolating. You've been percolating this story for this book for some time, and then what? One day you sit down in front of your computer and you go, I'm going to start writing it right now? How did that happen?
I wish it would have been that way, but it wasn't. I wrote it very slowly at first. Like I said, I was working, I was employed, and I would get through maybe a chapter or so in the free time that I had while trying to work.
Right.
But the enthusiasm wasn't there in the same way, because when you're working 40 plus hours a week,
sure.
Saturday comes and I don't want to sit and write a book. And once I made the decision to leave my employ and let's try this retirement thing again and see how it works. And I found that I was able to devote time to writing it. Mm-hmm. I could, sit down and let's really do this.
Yeah. So Pelican Cove is a real place. I didn't know that. I have only been here for 3 years and moved right during the pandemic, so I'm still getting to know the area. But it's a real condo community. And you alluded to paranormal, you used that word in describing the book. And there are paranormal activities or events that occur in Pelican Cove. My question is, do you think Pelican Cove is haunted in real life, in the real world? If you think hauntings are real.
I'm afraid I believe a lot in ghosts and a lot in hauntings. We've lived in various homes that have had bizarre things happen. I mean, from baskets off the walls, the kitchen walls stacked in the middle of the floor, to chain lamps going ching, 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 and the lights coming on in the middle of the night, or coming home just to find things not how we left them. We lived at one point in a 110-year-old row house in Cincinnati, which had not only a basement, but a sub-basement and 3 stories. And I expected that place to be totally haunted and scary and a little fearful of going into it. And there was no activity there. Point of my story. Doesn't have to be an old place, but our condo has activity.
Interesting.
And friends and relatives and people have witnessed it.
Okay.
We call the previous owner, we're just the second owners of the condo, and the previous owner, we referred to it as her name, and tell her to calm down because, again, certain things where lights go on and off, or the ceiling fan stops. I mean,
Just out of the blue.
yeah, there's no way to turn it on or off unless you use the remotes or flip a switch somewhere. It's little things, never anything scary, never anything honey. In fact, we jokingly welcome aboard that she's there.
Pull up a chair. Yeah.
Yes.
So what was the hardest part about writing this book?
It really wasn't hard. I guess it was committing myself to put in the time and the effort. And the book wrote itself. I jokingly say this many times when I'm at a book signing or someone asks me the same question you asked. These characters wrote it. They would tell me what they were doing. I mean, it's like I'd write a chapter and go like, oh, didn't know that was going to happen. I swear, I was.
It's like you were channeling these other.
Like I said, I'm not sure how I feel
characters.
about channeling. I mean, that's what people have
Yeah.
referred to it as and stuff. I knew I was writing and I was thinking of it. And of course, I incorporated things I knew about as far as the places and
Right.
that they visited or things that they go to and that. And I think that the hardest part of writing this whole thing, like I said, wasn't the writing. It was getting to the point I wanted to. I knew how I wanted it to end. I had determined that from the beginning. And I just had to get us there, along with their help, to how it ended.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I love that it's local, and it's all local references to places and people and things. Even a reference to Beneva Fruitville. Barry Ayers, who is a friend of mine, a friend of the show, and has been on the show, and even she's in this book. Is there going to be a sequel?
I have started. I did a little
You don't
while
have
back.
to commit, but
And am attempting to write a sequel, but I'm finding it difficult.
Okay.
I really am. People want to know what happened to these characters and
Sure.
where does it go from here? And I struggle with exactly how I want to take it and why.
sure.
Some things might be better left where they are
Yeah.
in my mind. So I've started writing another book that has on a totally different group of characters.
Does it take place in Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
But trying to see how I feel about that. So I'm going in two directions, and we'll see if and when what comes out of it.
Do you think all these characters might meet up? Is that a
funny.
possibility?
That's funny you said that because I foresee introducing new characters, but referencing
Other
for anyone
characters.
that's read this, knowing
Wow.
they're like, oh, that was in the other one.
Well, Art Blum, I thank you, and again, those of you who know the show know that I don't do this, and I don't promote. I do not promote places. I do not promote things. The show is about people, but I got to say that I really enjoyed because I feel like I know you, even though this is the first time we've met. I feel like I know you by reading this, and I know more of your story. And thank you. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being here. And if you want to send an email, please do. Please like us on Facebook and on YouTube. And I hope you've enjoyed the show. Info at suncoastpeople.com. Again, send those emails. I'm Robert Tim, and thanks for watching.